It was supposed to be a calm evening on Real Time with Bill Maher, a royal guest, a sophisticated exchange, and maybe a few clever jabs about the monarchy. That's what everyone expected. But what unfolded that night would become one of the most talked about late-night interviews in television history. Viewers tuned in for wit and conversation. What they got instead was a psychological chess match. Bill Maher's irony versus Prince Harry's arrogance. A duel that spiraled into an unforgettable clash live on air. The lights came up. The jazzy intro faded. Bill Maher straightened his notes, flashed a grin toward the audience, and gestured toward the stage. "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Prince Harry." Applause rippled through the studio, curious, cautious, electric. Harry appeared in a tailored navy suit, no tie, exuding a kind of practiced nonchalance. He waved half-heartedly and slouched into the guest chair as if he owned the place. "Good to have you here, Your Royal Highness," Bill said, his tone warm but teasing. Harry smiled thinly. "Well, I'm not technically royal anymore, Bill. But I suppose the title helps people remember who I am." A polite laugh drifted through the audience. Bill raised an eyebrow. "Ah, so you're officially a civilian now? Just another guy living off Netflix and resentment?" The laughter grew louder. Harry didn't join. "I wouldn't call it resentment," he said, leaning back. "More like liberation. You should try it sometime. Stop doing your show for a few decades. See how free you feel." Bill grinned, but there was a flicker in his eyes. "Touché, though I'm not sure I could afford the kind of freedom that comes with royal inheritance." The audience howled. Harry's smirk hardened. "It's funny," he said. "People love to talk about money when it comes to my family. As if you don't make millions mocking politicians every week." Bill nodded slowly. "Ah, so it's going to be that kind of show." The tension was alive now, invisible but electric. Bill shifted, ready to reclaim control of his stage. "So tell me," he began, voice steady. "You've spoken a lot about mental health and the pressures of fame. Do you ever wonder if constant interviews about privacy might be, I don't know, a little contradictory?" Harry smirked. "Only if you're unable to understand nuance, Bill." A ripple of unease moved through the crowd. Bill looked amused. "Nuance, huh? You mean like asking the world to stop talking about you while signing another book deal?" Harry's jaw tightened. "You're trying to make me look hypocritical for telling my story. Maybe it's hard for someone who's never had global attention to understand what that's like." Bill chuckled dryly. "Oh, I think I understand ego. Hollywood's full of people who think they're the center of the universe. You'd fit right in." The audience roared. Harry didn't. "Maybe," he said coldly. "But at least I didn't build a career mocking everyone else's problems." Bill smiled, razor sharp. "That's true. You just built one complaining about your own." Gasps, laughter. The energy shifted again. The polite exchange was gone, replaced by open hostility. For the next few minutes, they danced around lighter topics: the environment, charity, social causes. But the air stayed tense. Then Bill mentioned the Queen. "I love my grandmother," Harry said suddenly, voice firmer. "But the institution she represented was flawed." Bill nodded. "Flawed, sure. But she carried herself with dignity, something we seem to be running low on tonight." A subtle flash in Harry's eyes. "Careful, Bill. You don't want to sound jealous." "Jealous of what?" Bill asked. "Bad press and family feuds? I already have Twitter." The laughter this time was nervous, half admiration, half dread. Bill knew it. The interview was slipping from clever to combustible. When the show cut to mid-break applause, the tension didn't leave the room. It hung there, humming. Bill shuffled his cue cards. He could feel the balance tipping. "Let's try something simple," he said as cameras rolled again. "You've criticized tabloids for invading your privacy, Betty, fair. But you also filmed a 6-part documentary about your private life. Isn't that like condemning sugar while selling cupcakes?" Laughter. Harry didn't blink. "The difference is consent. My story told by me, not scavenged by strangers." "Sure," Bill said. "But agency isn't an invisibility cloak. When you monetize your life, people are going to audit the receipts." Harry leaned forward. "Maybe you're confusing public interest with public entitlement. You think buying a ticket means you own the show, and you think starring in the show means you're above the reviews." Bill shot back. The crowd groaned, loving every second. Harry exhaled sharply. It's amazing how often people with microphones explain my life to me. Well, Bill said dryly, they keep inviting you on. Harry forced a smile. That's because people are invested in change. I'm pushing institutions to evolve, from the press, the monarchy, the culture. If that makes people uncomfortable, I can live with it. Bill nodded. Uncomfortable's my brand. But you're not making people uncomfortable with truth. You're making them uncomfortable with the sense that you think you're exceptional. Harry's eyes flashed. I am an exception. I didn't choose this. I adapted? Bill smiled faintly. Okay, Darwin. Let's talk adaptation. He tossed his card aside. In your book, you detail everything. Frostbite, fights, family texts. You torch the bridge, then complain about the smoke. Why publish what you claim you wish had remained private? Harry's voice cooled. Because secrecy is how abuse survives. Sunlight disinfects. And also sells, Bill added softly. Laughter and hush collided. Harry gave a sardonic nod. Right, let's pretend you don't get paid to tear people apart for sport. That's not what I do, Bill replied. I take ideas apart. If a person's welded to their ideas, sparks fly. This is classic American late night, Harry scoffed. Punchy monologues and smug righteousness. Call it free speech and go home. Bill's eyebrows rose. You do realize smug righteousness is usually the monarch's job? The audience howled. Harry smiled without warmth. You're proud of that one. I am, Bill said. My writers will want joint custody. Bill leaned forward again. You've said you left the monarchy to protect your family's mental health. Fair. But then you launched a global media blitz. Do you see why people smell contradiction? I see why people prefer simple narratives, Harry replied. Hero, villain, jester? You're the jester, Bill. Bill's grin thinned. I prefer satirist. Jesters wore bells. I wear ratings. Harry stared at him. You're performing. Everything's a performance with you. Bill shrugged. You're on a TV show, Harry, not a monastery. Silence stretched. Then Bill softened. Okay, reset. What do you want from the public? Honestly, what do you expect? Harry didn't hesitate. Respect. For what? For the fact that I'm human. Bill nodded. You're not being punished for being human. You're being questioned for claiming you're ordinary while living extraordinary. Pick a lane. Harry crossed his arms. Maybe the issue is you can't process reality unless it's a punchline. And maybe the issue, Bill said, is you can't process that criticism isn't cruelty. Sometimes it's a mirror. Harry's laugh was sharp. From a man who interrupts people and calls it enlightenment? Bill blinked once. I've been called worse by better. The crowd loved that line. Harry didn't. Bill leaned back. Even you talk about duty. In your old life, duty was ceremonial. In your new life, it's rhetorical. You tell the world what to be, and bristle when it asks who elected you. Nobody elected you either, Harry shot back. I was hired, Bill replied. And I can be fired. The monarchy doesn't work that way. Harry smiled coldly. The monarchy has its own firing methods. We call it exile. A sympathetic murmur rippled through the audience. Bill nodded. Fair, I don't blame you for leaving. But I do question the world tour of grievance that followed. Truth isn't grievance. Depends how often you invoice it, Bill said softly. That one landed. Harry's face flushed red. For a moment, it looked like he might explode. Instead, he smiled, slow and venomous. You're clever, Bill. Clever men mistake cynicism for wisdom. And entitled men mistake pain for policy, Bill replied. The audience gasped. The producer gestured frantically off camera. Bill ignored it. He turned to the camera. New rule, he said. If you demand privacy, stop giving your therapist a co-producer credit. The audience erupted. Harry leaned toward his mic. New rule. If you want decency, stop punching down and calling it satire. Bill's eyes narrowed. I don't punch down, I punch up. Tonight, up happens to be a man who thinks he's above the weight class. Harry clapped once, sarcastic. Bravo. Bill stacked his cards. We'll take a break, he said, smiling at the camera. When we come back, maybe we'll have a conversation instead of a coronation. The band played them out. As the red light faded, Bill turned to Harry. You okay? Harry's voice was low, almost a growl. I'm fine. But stop talking to me like you're the headmaster, Bill replied softly. Then stop acting like the prefect. They sat in silence as the crew reset. A stagehand refilled untouched glasses. The floor manager counted down. 3, 2, 1. The lights came back. Bill smiled to camera. We're back with Prince Harry. And I think we've both had enough water to survive the next round. Uneasy laughter. Harry didn't smile. He sat rigid, jaw set, eyes like flint. All right, Bill said lightly. Let's reset. You've done a lot for mental health awareness. That's important. I respect that. Good, Harry said curtly. At least you respect something. A low groan swept the crowd. Bill chuckled. Well, I try. It's cheaper than therapy. Harry leaned back. Maybe you should try real therapy. Might make your humor less bitter. The room froze, gasps. Bill nodded slowly. Okay, going for the jugular. I admire that. Takes guts to psychoanalyze a man with a monologue segment. Harry's voice dropped, calm but cutting. It's not psychoanalysis. It's observation. You hide behind jokes to avoid real feelings. Bill smiled. You mean like a prince who hides behind interviews to avoid self-awareness? Laughter and applause. Harry's jaw clenched. You really don't know when to stop, do you? And you really don't know when to start, Bill shot back. We invited you to talk about your causes. All you've done is insult the platform that gave you a voice. That's irony, Your Highness. Harry laughed bitterly. Irony is thinking, people tune in for your opinions, when really they just want to see you argue. Bill raised an eyebrow. And yet here you are arguing. Maybe you fit right in. The laughter now felt uneasy, brittle. Bill leaned forward. Let's get serious. You've been critical of the media, but here you are on one of the biggest shows in America. Doesn't that seem contradictory? Harry sneered. You journalists love that word. Contradictory. It's your security blanket when someone smarter than you shows up. The crowd gasped. Bill blinked, still composed. Smarter than me, huh? Careful. You're about to sound like Kanye. Laughter exploded, but Harry stayed stone-faced. At least he built something. You just tear people down for ratings. Bill inhaled slowly. I don't tear people down. I expose nonsense. And you've given me a 2-hour buffet. Roars of laughter. Harry glared. You're why people hate the media. You twist pain into entertainment. I don't mock pain, Bill said firmly. I mock hypocrisy, and right now you're making it easy. Harry smirked. I'm sure that's what you tell yourself at night to sleep. Silence. Bill looked at him, not angry but disappointed. You've had every chance tonight to be insightful, to show who you really are. Instead, you sneered at every question. That's not confidence. That's insecurity with a British accent. The audience gasped. Harry leaned forward, voice low. You think sitting behind a desk gives you the right to lecture me? Bill didn't move. No, but being honest and consistent gives me the right to call out a man who mistakes. Attention for authenticity. Harry shook his head. You Americans love pretending you're the moral compass of the world. Maybe that's why your country's falling apart. The laughter died instantly. Bill paused. You just insulted an entire country on live television. I hope you're proud. Harry shrugged. Truth hurts, doesn't it? Bill nodded. No. Arrogance hurts, and you're bleeding from it. The air turned cold. Bill glanced at the camera. I've interviewed presidents, popes, and lunatics. Arrogance always sounds the same no matter what crown it wears? Harry stood abruptly. Are you calling me a lunatic? Bill stayed seated. No, I'm calling you exhausting. The studio exploded. Laughter, gasps, even applause. Harry's face flushed red. Bill turned to camera, ignoring the producer's gestures. We'll take a quick break. When we return, maybe the prince will find a sense of humor. Harry muttered, barely audible. Pathetic. Bill smiled thinly. And on that note, don't go anywhere. The band played. Applause came, uneven and nervous. When the red light faded, Bill leaned in, voice low. Keep this up, and you'll learn what it feels like when people stop laughing for good. Harry smirked, silent. Bill exhaled slowly. He'd dealt with controversial guests before, but this one would go down in late-night history, for all the wrong reasons.